Hello, in this video I would like to present a few theories in regards to the identity of the mastermind in Danganronpa F Shattered Hope. Spoiler warning for Danganronpa V3 and Danganronpa F Shattered Hope Episode 8. First, let us review what we know about the killing game and the people behind it. A serial killer who likes to force decisions or sacrifices upon his victims seems to be connected to the killing game somehow. Rule, the game's mascot, also likes to impose difficult decisions or sacrifices upon the participants of the game. Monokuma and Rule are two mascots associated with the killing game and act as a guide to everyone. Monokuma's role seems to have been temporary. People in suits, most likely some form of business people, are involved in organizing the game. These people seem to be following the vision of one or multiple persons. It's important for the participants of the game to be isolated from the rest of the world, which may explain the location. A transfer happened, possibly referring to transferring the participants of the killing game to the academy. And finally, the people behind the killing game were following at least Enigma for some years before the killing game happened. I've also noticed that butterflies seem to be a recurring theme in regards to the killing game. The second opening and the ending both show butterflies. It's possible the butterfly effect ties into the motive behind the killing game and to its participants. It's likely we'll get more information about the killing game and the motives of the mastermind in the future, but for now it's important to remember what we know. Now in regards to the identity of the mastermind. First, an obvious possibility would be that the mastermind is not one of the participants of the game. In other words, the mastermind is simply someone who organized the game and for yet unknown reasons and is watching it from a safe distance. This could be someone who we have yet to meet or someone from one of the participants' past, like Enigma's mom, for example. But it would be more fun if the mastermind was one of the participants. When it comes to the killing game, 4 people in particular have a special status in regards to it. Enigma has an unknown talent, remembers more than the others in regards to his kidnapping, and is so far the only one to confirm he has been watched for a long time by the organizers of the game. Korza has a connection to Rule, and there are inconsistencies regarding his talent. Rox has previous knowledge of Monokuma, and finally, Anon seemingly has no particular talent. These 4 people stand out. If we think the mastermind is someone who doesn't want to attract attention to themselves, either because they don't personally like being in the spotlight or just for strategic reasons, then it's unlikely any of these 4 is the mastermind. I do think, however, that Korza and Anon have a good chance of being a traitor or some sort of unwilling collaborator. Korza in particular is probably not a video game designer, but a game designer. For example, he designs games such as Locked Rooms or maybe even the current killing game. This would explain a lot about his knowledge of Rule and his behavior so far. I am also aware that a popular theory among the fandom is that Enigma is the mastermind. There are some clues and some foreshadowing here and there that allude to Enigma being the mastermind, but I haven't noticed anything major yet. On the other hand, there is also some foreshadowing that Enigma might not survive the killing game. One thing to notice is that Enigma was the first one among the group to suggest one of them being in on it, and Scarlet was the one to publicly reject that notion. If Enigma is the mastermind, it is likely that he deleted his memories of being the mastermind. If so, it's likely that right now he is acting the way he foresaw he would act without his memories. If the mastermind removed his or her memories of being the mastermind, then they would also inadvertently remove any advantage they would have within the killing game. Someone like that would know themselves very well and know how they would react in various situations. It would be kind of silly to remove your memories of being the mastermind to later be among the first people to die. Although this mastermind would probably have their reason for removing the memories, I do think such a strategy would be quite bold and would come from someone who is not very risk adverse. If the mastermind is someone among the group of participants and they still have their memories, a good strategy would be to try to blend in with the others as much as possible and try to stand out as little as possible. After all, there is already a tradition among the main Danganronpa games of a culprit using this strategy. If this is the strategy employed by the mastermind, then he or she is likely someone who presents themselves as someone with a normal talent like everyone else and doesn't have any sort of special knowledge regarding the killing game, doesn't stand out too much in a group and doesn't try to be the leader and doesn't have a very extravagant personality, tries to maintain a positive rapport with everyone else, and doesn't try to influence the game or the others too much, but tries to be relatively useful. Obviously, this may apply to a lot of people, but using the process of elimination, I believe we can reach one likely suspect. First of all, I will remove the aforementioned 4 people who have a special status within the killing game: Enigma, Corza, Rox, and Anon. And yes, I know Anon sometimes goes unnoticed by the others, but he is so inconspicuous that makes the others wary of him. Plus, seeing as he prefers to be alone and not attract attention to himself, I'm pretty sure he would not make himself stand out among the others by not giving himself a talent. Next, I shall remove Cross and Moraiteru, both of whom have antagonized the group in various ways. Yaxi and Pocket both have personality quirks that stand out in one way or another, and are both supposedly famous due to their talents. This makes them special in some way compared to the others. Scarlet likes to be in the center of the attention, and I do believe that a mastermind following this strategy of blending in would not joke with someone on the first day that they are the mastermind. Grisp also has a personality that stands out, and his talent is quite unique compared to the others, as he talks about spending a lot of time in the wild. Twin is the oldest of the group and Rissi is the youngest. Twin also has a rather extravagant personality and behavior. Both of them were involved in the incident with Monokuma in the prologue when Monokuma threw a spear at Rissi as an example. You could argue that targeting yourself or saving the person targeted was a risk worth taking in order to gain the trust of the others. But right now we are talking about a mastermind who would try to stand out as little as possible. Cancel is too sassy to be following this type of strategy. And finally, we are left with one person, Rock. Out of everyone, I do believe Rock is the most likely person to be following this type of strategy, or the person who is following it the best. Think about it. Other than his silly puns and the possible tragic backstory, I do believe Rock is the most normal out of everyone. Even his design is a bit bland compared to the others. Don't get me wrong, I do like Rock and his design. I think it fits him very well with all the earthy colors and such, but his clothes are a little normal compared to some of the others. In fact, I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought he would die early because he's so normal. I haven't noticed any specific reason or evidence against Rock as the mastermind, but he is someone who is trying to maintain a positive relationship with everyone else and hasn't influenced the game in any specific way. So far, he's just worked on keeping the others informed and stressed the importance of everyone committing to not killing. He also approached Enigma to gain his trust by giving trust according to his principle. As such, I do think right now Rock is a likely candidate to be the mastermind. But what if the mastermind is someone who doesn't mind casting attention to themselves? What if the mastermind is someone who employs the opposite strategy of blending in and is instead someone who hides within plain sight and wants to draw as much attention to themselves as possible? We can't have a mastermind discussion analysis without taking into account the one person within the cast that said they are the mastermind, can we? When Scarlet joked to Enigma in the first episode that she is the mastermind, a lot of people seem to have lowered their suspicion of her being the mastermind. But I think that doesn't change the likelihood of her being the mastermind in one way or another. Instead, I think she would have made that joke regardless if she was the mastermind or not. In her free time event, Scarlet tells Enigma she has a tendency to want to stand out as much as possible, and that's why she made that joke with him, which would also have the added effect of making sure she would not be underestimated by the others. She also mentions that she has some past trauma. This is a little bit of armchair psychology on my part, but I do believe Scarlet might have something called histrionic personality disorder, or at the very least some histrionic tendencies. WebMD defines histrionic personality disorder as such. Histrionic personality disorder is one of a group of conditions called Cluster B or dramatic personality disorders. People with this disorder have intense, unstable emotions and distorted self-images. For someone with histrionic personality disorder, their self-esteem depends on the approval of others and does not arise from a true feeling of self-worth. They have an overwhelming desire to be noticed and often behave dramatically or inappropriately to get attention. The word histrionic means dramatic or theatrical. Some symptoms of histrionic personality disorder that I think Scarlet exhibits are as follows. Be uncomfortable unless they are in the center of attention, dress provocatively and or exhibit inappropriately seductive or flirtatious behavior, act very dramatically as though performing before an audience, be overly concerned with physical appearance, constantly seek reassurance or approval, be easily bored by routine, especially when she is talking about her romantic partners. But it's important to note that only the first two apply 100% to her. Also, there are some other symptoms that Scarlet doesn't exhibit. For example, one symptom is being self-centered or rarely showing concern for others. So it's likely Scarlet has learned to control or channel her condition in a more positive way over time. The point is, if we take into account this condition, her behavior makes a lot of sense. As to why she would choose Enigma to pull the prank on, it's likely as she describes, an opportunity. She just saw Enigma in the dorms and pulled him in her room. It's also possible she was wary of Enigma at the time, as he was the first to mention the possibility of someone working with the mastermind. So she took a quick glance of this tablet to see his alias and took an opportunity to prank him, in order to test his reaction. In any case, Scarlet's behavior makes sense if she is not the mastermind, but if she were the mastermind, I believe she would have acted in exactly the same way. After all, as she herself says, she likes the attention, and self-proclaiming to be the mastermind within the killing game that you yourself organized is certainly something someone who likes to be in the center of attention would do. Now let's take a look at the incident with Monokuma, when he shoots a spear at Rissi as an example to everyone. When looking at the incident in retrospect, it seems that everything went perfectly for Monokuma. He made everyone obedient without actually sacrificing anyone. 4 people were involved in this incident in one way or another. Rox, who attacked Monokuma, Rissi, who was targeted by Monokuma, Korza, who shouted at Rissi to get out of the way, and the twin who saved Rissi. Rox's behavior can be explained as simply wanting to prevent the game from starting. Later, in her free time event, she laments that some people might suspect her of being the mastermind because of her action, as she's basically the one who started the incident, giving Monokuma the perfect excuse to set an example. She also explains that sometimes she acts a little rash. Korza explains that he quickly glanced at the rules and saw the spear targeting Rissi, which is why he yelled towards her to duck. If we assume the mastermind wanted to give everyone a fight without actually killing someone, then Korza could fit this scenario. But considering his interactions with Rule, I think it's more likely he's not the person behind everything. Rissi was seemingly targeted by Monokuma for being the first one to speak as he started the countdown. It's possible she prepared to do that from the beginning. After all, the one way to 100% guarantee that you won't actually kill anyone with the spear is to target yourself and escape in the last minute. By that logic, Twin could also be the mastermind, as another way to make sure someone doesn't actually die from the spear is to save the person being targeted in the last minute. Though it's important to note that Twin managed to save Rissi because he was the one standing closest to her, and Rissi was seemingly targeted because she said something during Monokuma's countdown. These are things that Twin could not have controlled or planned. It's not like Twin made Rissi, who was the person standing closest to him, say something during Monokuma's countdown, so that Monokuma would target her, thus giving him the opportunity to save her. So, if we think the mastermind is the person who ensured the outcome of the example set by Monokuma, then Rissi is the most likely candidate. It is also possible, however, that Monokuma was willing to let the participant die in order to set an example. I do think that Twin would make a good candidate for the mastermind, however. During his various interactions with the others, he mentions that he is very lonely, and he also proves to be quite perceptive, not to mention he has displayed to have a serious side to him. In conclusion, as of right now, some likely candidates to be the mastermind would be Enigma, Rock, Scarlet, Twin, and Rissi. Though obviously there is not a lot to base this accusation on, and there is probably a 64% chance I'm wrong. Feel free to leave your own suspicions and theories in the comments or on Reddit or Discord or wherever, or make some of your own videos on the matter. Thanks for watching.